Hello, and I am proud to announce that it is the 6th year anniversary of Let's Drone Out, and the man stood ominous in the dark room is the reason why we were all brought together for this shit show. Tonight, you are joined by none other than the amazing Fandangle Frankel,
Good evening.
the everyone's favourite Curry Kitten.
Hello.
Bring back Curry Kitten Wednesdays. Hashtag.
It's not trending.
The newest addition, but the technical shizzle whizzle wizard with the wonderful moustache, Stephen.
Hello.
The man, the legend, the taken away ladies. He's not on offer anymore. The whitest teeth in show business. The left-handed firewood guitar player, thrasher. The sexiest man alive. Apparently, there is a petition for him to be gaming to play with the Thundercats on Combat Simulator, and it's started by none other than Sheldon. So if you wish to sign that, so that NJ will once again stream this NJ Tech.
Hello everyone, long time. Hope you're all very, very well.
And he sat next to me around my ottoman over an analog mixing desk from the very beginning, my darling wife, Tony.
Buongiorno.
And what an honorary guest to have. The person who invited us on long ago to the ThursdayNightShow.com that's going to be live after this, Dom Robinson. And he hasn't sorted out his mic.
Massive pause.
Got a pretty awesome camera there following him around the room.
Yeah.
Great camera setup, but the mic's
Maybe
hiding
he's
behind
gonna,
somewhat.
Say hi with, doing this. Hi. I'm going to guess that that's like a virtual pan tilt thing going on there. I reckon that's
It does look like it's cropped in, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I reckon
it's
it's
cropping
his
in.
Well, I can put you on that microphone. You can hear me.
A bit noisy.
Yes.
Hey.
And now here.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Dom
Yeah.
Robinson.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Wanted
Hey,
a
there
drone
you go.
podcast.
Too many microphones.
Never listens anymore. When's the
Never have
last
time to do anything. Everything's on a Thursday.
Does he even fly anymore?
I've promised myself I won't swear, and yeah, I've got some video from this week actually, Tony.
Ooh. Fair play.
There you go. I think that's why my audio's broken, because I was trying to work out how to pipe it into the feed.
Do you know what, Dom?
Yeah.
I've got to ask, are you still flying, although it was a very, very long time ago, that quad that I built you in your house?
The Mini.
I think so. It was a raggy. I remember, wasn't it? Was it a raggy frame? I can't remember.
Oh, the Fossil. Yeah, no.
The Fossil, yeah.
Thank
I
you.
haven't flown it since Jack rebuilt it again, but it's here. It's in
It's
there.
still there. It's alive.
It's still there.
Amazing.
It is.
Oh my word, Painless 360.
I
Painless.
think
we're
it
not
would
doing
collect dust.
anything.
It would collect dust if it wasn't otherwise recoloured and so on.
Look
But
at that. There it is.
does this look positively like 1980s to you now?
A little
I
bit.
don't know if they've changed. They're probably
wouldn't-
made of titanium and got rockets in them or something now. But this thing's great. I love it.
Yeah,
Still doing its
the
job.
Rooster's
Marvellous.
got titanium.
Yeah, it's good. It's quite well made. You guys made it. I didn't. That's why it's still in one piece.
Nice colours that you got there as well.
I can find it when I lose it that way.
It's anti-grass coloured.
It is. It's all good. How are you all?
Oh, the budget for the Thursday night show is unbelievable.
I've just decimated it.
Oh,
Took the budget down 75% over the last year by getting rid of the old chat room and moving to Discord.
Mm.
So yeah, that's good.
I miss Rumble Talk, to be honest.
It was nice and fast. It was
Yeah.
nice and fast.
Tony, do you
Discord,
want to have a...
yeah, it's a benefit.
Tony, speaking of chat, do you want to have a quick rundown and say hello to everyone in chat?
I can have a quick look. Look, Fossil Stuff is just in the chat. So you must
Hello,
have heard
Fossil.
the opposition somehow. Richard Borick, Tailspin, Painless is in the chat. Hi, Painless, Clive, FBV, Robin, FBV, Martin McFly, Caroline, he's in there. Grumpy. Still going? Can't find anyone. Tailspin,
Finley.
Lurgy, Finley, and Clive. Hi everyone.
Clive.
Thanks for joining us.
Corey, hello. Richard
I
Warwick,
can't believe
as
it's been
always.
6 years, man.
I know,
It's too long. I remember saying we should quit at 5 years, and we went on for another year. Should we quit? Should this be our last night, or should we carry on?
Oh, Minty, hello.
Just
Oh,
spend all the remaining Patreon money on pizzas or LDO now on Saturday. Just
and then like lots of fireworks.
lots of fireworks.
That's it.
Oh, no. Last night, I don't know whether any of you guys caught there was a stream on last night. Joshua Bardwell was on with oh, hello, well done, 6 years. Oh, we've got to light some stuff up. And I totally derailed that podcast. I won't say which podcast it was, but we were talking about milking pigs and bags coming in milk in Canada and stuff. Yeah,
sounds like you.
Cat and
it
Steve,
sounds like a standard Jack infiltration.
I totally like bringing up stuff that Bardwell. He was just like, "Oh my god, who let him here?" Like mods mute him. I was like shaking batteries, like I was like slapping pigs, with a bucket, and they played that. Man, I got in there, and that was like the worst thing ever to happen to that show. I'm sorry, Kat, if you listen to this, I'm sorry. Thank you, Grumpy. Let's light a few. I think that's 2 in it.
I think you should like 2, yes.
Fair enough. Oh, thanks, Robin. That means a lot.
Ready to make him jump? There you go.
There you go. Let's throw now.
Take your pictures now, folks. Oh, now. That's not a good one. Can you put them behind your ears? In your ears. Oh my god.
He's got a lot of hair. So it's going to get dangerous.
No, you don't. You don't want that.
In the mouth's quite good. That's all right. We can take photos of that.
Someone make a GIF of that, and I'll buy you a £10 gift card.
Oh, you can still hear me on my AirPods now. It's better.
We can indeed.
AirPods, Stream Decks, Mr. Fancy Pants camera follow over here.
Freaking bloody everything for free, mate.
I know. Let me know when it's good to come visit you, because I've got generator parts for you. They're just by my door. I need to. Oh, thank you, Aries. Aries, you need to come on the show. I need to. We want. I think we might want to adopt Aries. If everyone's not got a problem with that. Who knows?
Quickly.
We like Aries on this show.
Quickly run it through. Yeah, we're okay.
What's been happening in FPV? Has anyone caught anything interesting? I've seen Kiss Ultra. I'm kind of excited for that.
What's that? I haven't.
Oh, the H7
I haven't flown or looked at any quad-related things in the last 2 weeks.
Yes, I've sent a message to Alexander, and he's the guy who's been doing a lot of development for the I can't pronounce. I'm going to butcher his surname. Is it Fedro?
Definitely not that.
I don't know. Alexander, I'm just sorry. I don't know.
What is it? Explain it.
He's the guy who's kept KISS development kind of going, sort of like the software side of things. So he's added new features like, the ability to, he sort of like added Crossfire. He's added Ghost support, even to the V1. Patrons now have access to Return to Home. So if you're a patron of his, I think we could maybe put his Patreon in the chat.
And it's had to write all this stuff from scratch, right? Because the license of Betaflight doesn't allow people just to go and nick code out of that. So it's all his work. That's impressive.
That is pretty good.
I have got one Kiss that I wouldn't mind having returned home on, so that would be quite good. Quite interesting. What else has he done?
So yeah, if you're a Patreon for him, that gives you access to that, and he's done a lot of dev work, and he basically set up a Discord, and hang on, just looking, Kiss.
Have you
FC.
invited him on the show yet, Jack?
Yeah, I've sent him a message, but I just need him to.
Do you need someone else to send him a message?
Yeah, I just need him to sign off on a date. But essentially, he's kind of like rejigged with permission from Kiss, the Kiss flight controller, and it's in a H shape, but it's got a connector, for the 4-in-1 ESCs with the telemetry and everything, and it's the better H7, I believe.
What's he doing with that extra power?
I've got no idea. I've been trying to keep up with the Discord. I'm just opening my Discord now.
I see if we can get him on then.
On the Betaflight side, they were talking about dumping a whole load of extra filtering and stuff in there because you suddenly got vastly more CPU than you had with the old F4 boards or even F7.
Yeah, I mean the Kiss has already got the Kiss V2 already had the whole F7 chip on there anyway.
Definitely flew better than the F1, F3.
Yeah, so you've got like so much power there. So
you're just going to see the same filtering but with less delay, basically, until they chuck more features into the code.
I'm just trying to. Hang on, I will share.
Are they still keeping it simple?
Yeah, basically.
Unless you're a developer, I guess, right? I doubt it's simple from his perspective.
Well, probably not from his perspective.
Probably a fucking
as long as it's okay for me to do, then I'm okay
there's the Kiss Ultra. So it's got like a nice connector at the bottom that goes straight into.
That's your 4-in-1, is it?
Yeah, 4-in-1 ESC and everything.
Is there another one on the other side for DJI as well? Looks like there's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
What's the other two connectors
you can't say yes if it's not true, Jack. Because
does it have an OSD now?
Yeah, so we got two other pinouts there. So what's going on with those? We've got one for the ESC.
I haven't checked it out. There seems to be quality of life upgrades as well, like for the receivers now at the bottom, and then the buzzer pads are actually moved out to a bit further and not staggered. And I don't know whether that's a Type-C connector or not. I don't know. I've been trying to keep up with it.
You definitely need to try to get him on. But if it connects straight to the ESC and straight to DJI, I really
so
like
it's like it's long-term Patreons first, and I should have really been a Patreon ages ago because he sent me a few test firmwares to flash and everything. So I've been, I should.
So you're getting your hands on one of these H7 boards then, Jack?
I don't know. I'll have to ask him.
Can we tell the viewers or the listeners what's the difference between the two boards, the latest board and then the H board?
When you say H board, it wasn't just the shape of it, right? This was a move to the H743 or whatever it was, the fancy CPU. And that, from memory, that jumps you from about 216 megahertz on the F7 up to 480 megahertz or something. It's just a massive bump in clock speed.
So it's just a more powerful chip, yeah?
Yeah, going to get your filters calculated a lot quicker and let you run other stuff at the same time.
Does everyone remember saying we don't need to be faster on this, and then
no one needs more than 640K.
A year later, we're like, let's go faster.
Yeah.
I should
I
have.
think Betaflight kind of made an impression when they moved to dynamic notch, and all of a sudden people are like, "Wow, this flies really well. How'd you do that? Filtering." So I think maybe they're starting to get the message over in Kiss.
Yeah,
Kiss always flew nice anyway, though, didn't it?
Well, I mean, you've got the throbbles, haven't you? Still haven't solved that. when you punch
Hang on,
up and the
let
nose
me-
goes. Zoop, zoop.
Yeah, there
Right,
is a bit of that. Just
Yeah.
don't punch so hard.
I will admit,
You can
I
hide
punch out.
stuff.
Who wants to
I'll
punch out anyway?
apologise because I should have saved.
Here
I
we
should
are.
have saved this, but the
480 megahertz
iconic.
of goodness, a ton of flash, 2 mega flash. What the F411s are stuck on, like, or the F7s rather, on 512. People are bitching and moaning that the F7s are actually running out of flash space. You've got quite a nice CPU, but not enough flash on the chipset with the F722. So that gets you around that limitation. So that means you're going to have to. You've got the power to run features, but nowhere to actually store the code to run them, which is kind of a problem with F7s.
You got a barometer on there, 8-pin ESC connector, backward compatible with KISS, not with
Ton of stuff comes
FetTech,
with barometers
unfortunately.
these days.
Yeah.
Just started messing around with iNav, and all my flight controls have barometers. I didn't even know they were there until I popped iNav on.
What's KISS weather station?
I've got no idea.
Show your green LED when it's time to go fly.
Look at that BL heli pass through. Look at that. What
only
a world
2
we
or 3
live
years
in.
behind the competition.
Yeah, I know.
But it always flew 2 years better than
Behind the competition.
No soft serial ports anymore.
It was always better than beta flight flying.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of these, they get the reputation by having a nice wide sort of default tune that works for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
This graphical LSD sounds interesting. It's like a sort of pixel thing rather than just some character set.
Yeah, vector-based, isn't it? So it can
Yeah.
draw lines instead of just printing out individual characters. So you can get all sorts of funky things like the type of graphs that you see in heads-up displays on fighter jets and that. And some other kind of Copilot OSD where you've got like nice scrolling bars up each side for planes and that. Whereas with Betafly,
as long as
you have it character by character.
The processor can draw it nice and quickly, because that's always been a thing of the past. It was always a bit laggy because it was slightly behind the other stuff.
And that's going hand in hand with this canvas mode stuff that we're seeing now as well for Sharkbite, and also apparently promised by Cadex to turn up at DJI at some undefined point in the future. So they're going to move from having a font pack that you uploaded where you've got to pick impact or normal or bold or whatever font for the OSD chip to just being able to draw lines, and with those draw the individual characters however they want to.
Yes. How thick would you like your lines? Choose here.
Right.
Look at that.
I think that the big win's going to be for stuff like GPS, because the little arrow where it can only show 8 different orientations is kind of annoying, isn't it? Whereas if you had a completely analog arrow where it can just like show any orientation, that'd be nice.
No, for me, putting it on my quad and then plugging one into the ESE and one into the DJI is what's going to win it for me.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah, as long as there's no soldering involved.
No
Tony's
soldering
happy.
and no chewing gum.
You
and
just
tape.
gaffer tape it together. He's good.
I've installed a bunch of Vistas, and I am thinking, like, why the hell didn't they put that connector on the Vistas? They've just got the pads. They could have just put one of those little JST connectors on the Vista. That would have saved so much stress. Because you always put it in an awkward orientation, don't you, that Vista? It's always like parked to the back of the quad, bumped up against something. It's just a pain to do anything with.
That's what happens when you give your money to DJI and they don't care about you.
Right.
There's a good segue here. Richard Warwick says, ELRS seems to be a big thing at the moment with loads of new modules and receivers. I have been dealing with Express LRS this week, and I have hit every known problem and some unknown problems in the entire world, as far as I can figure.
I've got a bag of ELRS crap here. Goes on and on.
I think there's been a few reviewers, right? Like you've gone through this struggle. Painless has gone through this struggle. I think Andy has also been going through it as well. I think it was Andy.
Yeah, I talked to his buddy Phil because he hit one of the same problems as me. We were dealing with this thing called the Namimno module, which is the worst thing to try and say when you're filming yourself.
It probably sounds a lot easier in Chinese. I'm getting
a number of times I've said Namimno and just turned into a drooling idiot. It's off the scale.
Also, that thing that apparently has been on sale in mainland China for like 2 months or so, the manufacturer says. So how the hell has no one found this yet?
As far as we can tell, every manufacturer other than Happy Model that's releasing hardware does so without testing any of the features whatsoever or writing any documentation.
And the after-sales support consists of hiding their business address and phone number as best as they can.
Yeah,
So
if
no
you try
one
and
can
read
find
the website says failure to load or something weird like that. Like there's an error in there. There's an error so bad in their HTML it refuses. So the Nimno module, see, it's happening already. Doesn't have regular Wi-Fi, but they don't tell you that because there's no instructions. It has this thing called a backpack Wi-Fi where you have to log into it in order to give it the details of your Wi-Fi network, and then it jumps onto there. And then what you should be able to do is drop one of the binary files on it to flash the firmware. Flashing the firmware is reasonably important because you'd like to get your bind phrase in, which that means you don't have to press buttons to bind. But when you do this, it turns out it overwrites the bootloader and sort of basically bricks it, or the term soft bricking has been invented for this, which is fun.
So the testing went as far as they flashed one version of the firmware to the module, verified it worked, and then just assumed everything else was fine, shipped it, and didn't realize as soon as any one person upgraded, they would brick their well, not brick, but they'd leave their module in non-functioning state and have to redo the upgrade.
There's very helpful debug messages saying updating module, verifying module, update complete, and then all the LEDs go out and the Lua script doesn't work anymore, which is fantastic.
We've successfully written the image to the wrong location on the module. We can no longer talk to the module. Upgrade complete.
So yeah,
Job done.
My quick reviews these days are now taking 20 to 30 hours of talking through Discord, saying I did this and this happened.
I'm looking forward to, because hopefully we're having Painless on next week. I'm looking forward to all the comparing notes on the Express LRS, and
that'd be handy. So I did actually call him up when I saw he had the BFBV stuff and said, "Have you opened it yet?" And he said, "No." I said, "Oh, mine doesn't work and did this, just in case yours doesn't work."
Yeah, I was on the Discord asking about something completely different, and then saw Curry Kitten appear, and I'm like, "Oh, I wonder what he's talking about." Oh yeah, this sounds a lot like Alex Kim's review with exactly the same problem, where it was just like, "Oh, but stopped working." But my install looks like this. That's my module. It's just fully internal in this tiny gamepad radio, and I bought it DIY off the Express LRS Discord. Went to the buy and sell listings, found a guy who Failsafe FPV, who was building the modules, and he just put it together. And I took the back off, put the JST plug that they use for the module expansion on the module, plugged it in, and bingo. And I've got the best support and best after sales service I think I've ever had for like an RC product by buying it from a dude in the UK.
So I am guessing that the people making their own modules as well have tested it. And it worked the first time.
He took the module, even though it was an internal one, not a JRB module, installed it on a radio and flew it, and then unsoldered it and sent it to me. I mean, you couldn't get any manufacturer to do that. It's just nuts.
People are quite excited about these ones, the Nimno, because they have an inbuilt fan and can run up to 1 watt. So if you want to fly to the moon, this is apparently your thing.
Given 100, so context on this, 100 milliwatt testing with Wesley Varty has gone to 33 kilometers, at which point he lost video signal with his ridiculous giant video array that he's got, and couldn't. His plane wasn't able to fly any further than that. So 33 kilometers on 100 milliwatt. Okay, it's like a logarithmic thing. So 1 watt doesn't get you 10 times as far as 100 milliwatt.
It doesn't. Yeah,
out of interest, was that at some fairly high elevation, which is TBS's?
He's in a plane. He's on a plane, so he's doing just clean air.
He's got tremendous line of sight.
Yeah, it's not like in a bando. Obviously, in a bando, if you try and fly it through a car park, you're probably going to be screwed off a lot quicker than you would be if you're just flying a wing at 200 meters.
Is this all legal?
Well, he's not in our country.
No, he's in Canada or somewhere.
Oh,
well,
I've seen his flights.
It's all legal in terms of
he's not in this country.
These things, if you run them at the right,
such a political answer, that isn't it? Such a politician's answer. It's in another country. So,
who knows what those crazy laws are out there?
I think they're like the moon.
They're all mad out there.
It's fine. Yeah,
unruly part of the world.
Diplomatic immunity.
Canada. I like in the chat we've got Numskull saying crossfire all the things. Son and Dad FPV saying I love my Spectrum. We've got Clive FPV saying bring back 35 megahertz. And I do know a couple of people
God.
who like have been out the hobby for like 30 years or something and still have their 35 megahertz radio.
But
And
do you know
whenever they
what?
speak to me, going like, "Oh, I'm gonna get a model back out again, and I'm gonna fly again," and is this still gonna work? Is most for 35 megahertz? Is that still like illegal and allowed, or is there a lot of noise on 35 megahertz? I'm like, God knows. I don't think anyone
Well,
uses it
it's
anymore.
probably cleaner cleaner than it's ever been because
Yeah.
virtually no one's on 35 megahertz.
Exactly.
So you never know.
That
Is
is
that
a
crystal?
massive
diamond
receiver.
or a crystal?
That's a receiver in heat shrink.
Oh wow.
That's the size you're
Wow.
looking at, fully installed in heat shrink.
That is
You can
tiny.
see that
for
side on.
the listeners on the podcast,
I'm holding up a Happy Model EP2. That's the antenna, the little stripy bit you can see there.
Got my Happy Model PP.
It's tiny.
is that the ceramic thing?
That's the ceramic
this
one.
one's
So that
got
little
ceramic
stripy
as well.
sandwich you can see there looks like a little Battenberg.
Right.
That's the antenna.
Ooh.
Yeah, it looks like you've taken Bertie Bassett's all sort and stuck it to a black postage stamp.
And
Pretty much.
put it in the oven for 20
Yeah.
days.
So I think the story with ELRS is it's quite exciting, but there are limitations. At the moment, it's all the fault of these manufacturers rushing stuff out and not testing it whatsoever, and screwing it all up for people. But yeah, there's
the cheapest
as
one.
Caroline alludes to, there's if you want more than 4 channels of full resolution, right now you haven't got them, because the way they go for ultra low latency is like you can have your 4 channels of full resolution, and then we'll have a couple of channels which is like
But Caroline, but
a 2-position switch literally, and then the other channels are like 6 positions depending what you do, but they're
So
round robin, so they don't.
There's an
even get
evolution in this because you can literally trace it from just racers using it to people getting pissed off at racers just designing it for them and adding more features. So originally they were 1-bit switches. Each switch was either on or off. Well, because you only need to arm or disarm, and then if you crash, you go and pick up your quad. So that was people were saying, "What? This is crazy. We can't use this." But it's for racing.
This is a crazy new hybrid 8 thing. It's called.
And yes, you've got hybrid 8, and that means your arm switch, which is on your 5th channel, AUX 1, that gets sent every time you send an update, same as the gimbals. And everything else is rotated, like Curry was saying, round robin. So you get 6 switches, which can act as 3-position, and you get one on the end that's like a 16-position. Then someone has also complained this wasn't enough. Very valid points, like what about head tracking? What about planes? What about all the other people are joining this and saying, we want the range, we want these cheap modules. I just bought 2 this week from a UK seller for under a tenner each. From Unmanned Tech, they were £9.95 for those EP2s. Worth grabbing a couple. And so there's a PR in there at the moment that takes this and actually does round robin on full range or full range-ish channels. So you can go up from your 16-bit max at the moment to take 4 channels that are going to be 64 or 128 position. So it's not as smooth as you get on the gimbals, but for a head tracker or something where you're just like move, stop, move, stop, move, stop, it gets you enough. Or if you're just doing flaps or something where you just want to move from...
Still not enough for doing throttle, left aileron, right aileron, elevator, rudder.
So in the ideal, what you want is choices. You want, I'm a racer, I want the 1-bit switches. I want everything. I don't care that much about the latency. Give me full range channels on as many channels as I want. And then you've got a whole bunch more people that says, actually, what I want is PWM and not this DRSF stuff. And another load of people saying, actually, I just want to have 1 wire going to an S-bus, so I want a single wire protocol as well.
Yeah.
If they can do all that, that'd be fantastic. But of course, that's lots and lots of work, which people aren't getting paid
it's happening.
for.
It's a scratch your own itch. That's what they always say about software development. Fixes happen because people want to scratch their own itch. So what happens is you have a coder who is annoyed at something and has the capability to fix it. And they've got a jumping off point because everyone's done the other work that they can stand on top of. And then you can add a feature like additional full range channels for head trackers and stuff. So I think it's going to happen. It's just going to take time to attract developers into that community.
I want to know, Dom, has this meant anything at all to you? Any of this conversation?
I'm lost now. I was reflecting on how 6 years ago I understood what you were talking about. It all sounded like, and then it sounded like nonsense. Now I don't understand what you're talking about, but it sounds really, really knowledgeable and together. So 6 years has done something completely bizarre. So, well, no,
We
I have
increased
no
our
idea.
bluff game. Amazing.
It's upped it enormously.
But you've been
Acronyms per
flying,
hour has
Dom.
improved. I have, yeah. I'm literally just editing the video while I try to decode what you're talking about. Hold on a sec. Let me.
Should we give you a little while longer, or do you want to share?
Yeah, if you want. I mean, actually, while you were talking, there was a bit of video I was looking at. I was thinking, these would be the right crowd to ask what's going on with my Mavic, because I've got a. Where am I? Hold on. It's been doing something really funny, and I was thinking it's because I keep flying in military airspace, and I thought they might be they might be messing with my. I'm really trying not to swear on LDO this time. Right? I thought they might be messing with my RF or something somehow. But hold on, let me see if I can get my windows switched between each other a bit, and then do that. There you go. Got a video editor.
Ooh.
We got Insta360.
So if I run this, I was flying up in the Highlands in Scotland, and if that starts playing properly, is it? Yeah, it's just playing. So I'm flying around. I've done my drone assist. Drone assist's given me a good thumbs up that I can fly here. Apart from the fact it's military airspace, but that's all right as long as there's not a NOTAM up. So I'm thinking that's friendly. They're much nicer than the frickin' National Trust, so I can fly. So I took it up, and it very interesting. Every time I pushed it over 100 meters, what is it? I've got to make sure I get the numbers right. Over 100 meters, it did that. My Mavic, which should be flying nice and level,
all of a sudden
like
rolls to the right,
and then it sort of at random intervals it starts doing it at other times. But it happened in a few spaces which were PEXA regulated, and that was the only association I could come up with. Which I thought
it
was
looks
quite
like it's had to make some rapid change in direction, and you're seeing that acceleration in the camera tilt, right?
Yeah. How windy was it? It doesn't look very windy,
right? So
by the water.
the nicest
is that an
shot.
Air, Dom? Is it a Mavic Air?
Mavic Air, yeah, Mavic Air.
Yeah, because I had one. I sold mine in the end, but mine did a similar thing. And what it was where it was trying to correct itself for external forces like wind. And it overbanked past the gimbal limit, and so the gimbal followed it for a set amount of degrees. So I think it was more likely to be that. It might have been that it had to just correct a little bit.
So you've got gusts going to like 5 or 10 mile an hour, and then there's a 20 mile an hour gust, and it just has to like hard bank into it.
I didn't really check the wind that night because it was just a quick.
Yeah, mine did a similar thing. That was what I observed. So I think it's most likely it was that. Or it might have been a little bit of a level of wind shear where you've got a bit higher and there was a channel of air where it was just a little bit could have been rotor off the back of a nearby cliff or anything that just.
If this doesn't mess it all up, this flight was probably not going to come through on the screen capture. It was beautiful,
Lovely,
but until I went round, so I come around the head, trying to do a nice in Scottish Highlands, right up in the northwest last week. Lovely. And I did a corkscrew up off this building just manually, and I didn't really think about that low cloud which you can just see at the top there, and I didn't think about that the temperature drop and the wind speed that was going on at about whatever peak height. You guys probably remember I like to push the thing right as high as I can, really.
Obviously, no more than 400 feet.
No, exactly to the limit of whatever it should fly at, as long as the buttons let it do it. So, yeah, exactly. But I was winding around here without really and thinking more about the castle than about the wind speed. And around about this point, it did the tilting thing again. You'll see. And this, I'm pretty sure, was wind. Where was it?
And bear in mind, it might have been wobbling around like crazy, but you're within the extent that the gimbal allows, and then all of a sudden you hit the gimbal limit and it's visible.
Yeah, so mine did it, Dom, honestly, especially where you are there, where you're going to get things like rotor turbulence.
Right.
No, you're going to get,
and then
it's only by a little bit.
Shit, I've lost it. I'm bringing that in. It must be the wind because I couldn't get it level. I feel a bit out of control here. I'm going to bring that into me. Oh, that's getting the wrong way.
It's yawing and rolling and
This is
dropping
no,
a bit.
dear.
Need more power.
What a shame.
This all
I'm going to
this all
lose
points
the
to
shot of
Dom,
the holiday.
You need to build a nice, big, powerful, like 7-inch cine rig and just plow through the clouds.
Yeah, well, I should have had the racer really and just flown it straight through. I'm sure many other flyers would have just enjoyed properly flying FPV around this thing, but there was actually quite a group of people there, and I didn't want to get close, but I panicked. And so I thought the best way to get back to me, I'm the other side of the castle from where we are, the best way to get back to me is to go low as quickly as possible and get out of that wind stream. And get straight back to me over land, which unfortunately did mean that I'm going to have to go right through the castle.
There, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm on sport
right
mode. I switched to sport mode, so it should be able to do 50 miles an hour or something.
So there is a bit of wind then.
yeah, I think the wind speed is right up there. And unfortunately, what I should have done is just since I had to,
now you drop down.
Yeah, and I could see the people, and I was like, I'm going to lose this. I'm going to lose control, or they're moving out the way. So I'm sorry, people, I don't know, but I'm going to break the law and go straight over your heads at what I hope is more than 50 foot, but get this safely back out of the sky.
30 point something meters, I think.
Yeah,
So
I reckon it
different country.
I reckon it was. Exactly. Yeah, a beautiful place to fly. I'll just skip through it. This one went up into the mist.
Is this going on your tube so I can watch it?
Might do. I've got to edit it down. I've got an hour of footage over a week or two weeks.
Please do that.
The beautiful thing is from this distance you can't see the midges either.
But look, yeah, freaking midges, man. But yeah, then everything went white. Oops.
It's just a fade.
Down again.
Just nature's fade.
Transition.
Transition to the next shot. Yeah.
And the day of the shots was these guys. If I'm lucky. Sorry to bore you with my holiday shots, but they're better than flying at Hidden Valley yet again.
It's way better than a slideshow when you've got the possibility of crashing.
Yeah, this should pan up in a second. Hold on. This is just the most amazing location. Look at this bugger. Look at that.
Very pretty.
Look at that. Yeah.
Lovely.
Unfortunately, the National Trust haven't got their hands on it. So unlike the lakes, they don't mind you flying up there. Look at that.
So you get geo-locked out of the National Trust stuff, do you?
Not that that's been technically the issue, but just in terms of the principle of flying, the National Trust, I think don't do anyone a service by taking our land off us and letting us not fly on it. So I get a bit political about that. There's Loch Ness, no monster.
I'm sure if you pay them, you can.
National Trust
have some standard rate.
National Trust have some land up by me, and it was one of the places that got shut down for drones to fly. This was I don't know 4 or 5 years ago now, 4 years ago, and when I went onto their website for the local area, a place called Shocott Spring, because they put these notices up of no drones. There was a big banner advert for all about an article on the National Trust site, all about these brilliant drone shots that they got, which I thought was just fantastic.
Which they paid for.
With nice close shots of various wildlife, and I'm like, well, I'm sure the wildlife would have been fully aware of that enormous drone you used to film this. But what can you do?
Anyway, as long as you're not having fun, the National Trust are happy.
It sounds a lot more. You can't go into a gallery and take photos, but you can go buy a postcard in the gift shop. That's what it sounds like.
They've got the same thing in the US, and bear in mind the US's land is so big, but any hint of a national park or anything like that, you can't fly on it. And we're talking like literally thousands of square miles. And like, really, the whole thing, not just a bit with people? No, any of it.
There's got to be a bit of case law which could stand up and say the amount of ask the national parks how much photography revenue and film revenue they actually make compared with how much tourism they get out of people flying drones in their parks.
Exactly, and like
one of those, they make far more income from people like us going up there and flying safely in a place where there aren't too many people around to knock out with a drone.
It's really quite empty of people because it's so ridiculously hot for most of it. Although I did have that sort of squeaky bum moment with my Mavic when I was close to there, not in there, because I think it got so hot It's literally like the screen on my phone started like sort of glitching out and stuff. I was like, oh, that's not good. I better bring it back. And I touched it, and it's like, ow! The entire body of the quad was just burning. You could fry an egg on it at that point.
But
But
the weird thing
don't
is,
fly it in cold. Don't fly it in hot. It's just right is where you want your Mavics.
Don't fly it too windy. Don't fly it
Not
too
windy.
I was just going to jump in there quickly and say the weird thing is that they don't want people like you to take expensive photography and flying equipment up there and take beautiful photographs, but
and then sell it.
Work for the British Tourist Board, like government departments. They've got no budget to do this. They're struggling to rekindle the tourist industry after lockdown and to get things back up and running, and areas that have been completely starved of tourism and people's livelihoods have gone down the pan. They don't have a budget to go and film stuff, but they don't want you to go up there and post something on Instagram showing how beautiful the Scottish Highlands are either. So it's
crazy,
it's
isn't it?
dichotomy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So I think PEXA's the way forward. That was a really good discovery in my little drone assist app. Going red flag, read the small print. Oh, how interesting! As long as there's not a NOTAM, I can fly. Very good.
PEXA is the practice and exercise area, right? So
I just don't know. I didn't read beyond the drone assist. I figure the less I know now, the more I can defer the liability to my drone assist app. Because if the drone assist app says yes, you can fly, then off I go. Someone else's problem. I passed on.
And
the
if
liability.
you get a couple of jets coming down on a low level like Mach loop, then you may have some trouble with wind shear again. But
yeah, I did take. I'd be more reluctant to fly something without all the external liabilities for. I can shut you down, I can geofence you, and so on. But once it's geofenced, like press all the buttons. Will it go up? Yeah, it goes up. Okay, it's fine by someone else. Then I'll fly.
Yeah, so
it's a phone signal. Does that stop you from flying?
It hasn't once stopped me from flying, even on work. Yes, anyway, we'll stop there.
The only time that he's been stopped from flying is Run or Die Street, which is an old reference to an old show.
Ah.
If you wanna tell that story in Barcelona.
What?
I don't think he knows it.
I think we're going back to the let's not incriminate anyone area.
No, the invite in was it Barcelona? The Run or Die, the place called that. You were invited to fly there. You may have got shot, Dom.
I can't remember.
Still not
I don't
there.
know. Yeah, no.
That's
No.
dementia.
Yeah, it's getting long in the tooth now. Doesn't know what
was
he's
this
saying.
before or after you were in the hospital, Jack? Just out of interest.
Does it count as dementia if it's some sort of created memory in some sort of drug haze?
No. Dom, when you were
By the way,
on
this
holiday and you're flying
That was
over
not a
the
convincing
desert.
Brings back memories. That does.
That was from February.
Oh, nice. Hidden Valley.
Oh, no,
The spiritual home of LDO.
It is always will be the spiritual
there
home.
it went again. Look there.
Did it go again? It did, didn't
Yeah,
it?
I saw it there.
Was there some videos of Tony flying his X-Class around here or something?
Well, it might have been my prop wash.
I reckon there's a freaking crow following me around, pecking my Mavic.
It did it. I swear I saw it.
You could just have got a slightly dodgy SC or something, I suppose, but you'd never know until you paid as much as the quad's worth to have someone to look at it, I suppose.
Yeah, look there.
Yeah.
Buy a proper quad with enough power to
Any
carry.
views expressed
payload.
by this guest the show or personal do not
the
reflect
fossil will-
the views of the others.
There you go. The fossil will fly in all these wind conditions with and stay in control. But the problem is it doesn't have a big red button which will geofence it and stop me flying places I shouldn't.
There again.
And so I can't defer the liabilities.
Who are you with? Do you
I
have
don't
a lot
know.
of spotters?
There's a lot of spotters there, yeah.
Down there on the right.
Looks like the family, they've been trained since birth.
Well done, Dom, for being the other Mac user here.
Oh yeah.
I use Max too.
I use Mac.
It's just a host for a terminal prompt, isn't it?
Have used Max.
It's It's just a host for a terminal prompt, isn't it?
Yeah. And Belric's just on Linux, which is basically Mac but free.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Mac's just BSD, isn't it? BSD with a fancy GUI layer on top.
You're not on Windows out there, are you? People aren't still using Windows.
Yeah.
The room goes quiet when you ask that. Still using Windows.
I booted into Windows the other day
NJ will
to
make some
play
sort of
Halo.
excuse that he needs it for DCS or something like that because it
Plug
doesn't
and
work.
play.
No, audio
only thing you need
interface,
Windows for.
Firewire.
These days, when I
Yeah,
boot
you
into
do.
Windows, it sits there and does about half an hour of updating before I can do a damn thing. It just locks out. So it's been a year since you booted me. I'm freaking out. Hold on.
Talking of NJ, as we were there, handsome man, we've lost him to the dark side. He's a heli guy now again, isn't he? He's gone back.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
Some of
since
the
I was
filth behind him.
since a
unless
young
he's
lad.
broken
I
all his
was
helis already.
no. Well, the trick to that is to buy many more than you can possibly fly and crash at any one time. No, I was flying heli since I was a little lad, so those were always there. But yes, I have been flying helis more recently.
We can see them.
So yeah, I will be bringing said toys to said events at the weekend. But
What's got the pride of place there?
There's a few. Well, there's my favourite is the middle one here, the OMP Hobby. He makes some very nice, which is a higher model products, which are higher model planes, even though they're a Chinese company. Why not? I have this little guy here called the OMP M2, which is so it's direct drive brushless motor for the main rotor and direct drive brushless motor for the tail, which in itself is nothing new. But these guys have done some really clever stuff with the flight controller and have this thing called left yaw torque assist system, which basically means that because the problem with a fixed pitch tail, one that where you can't vary the pitch, is the only way they can obviously blow in one direction, which allows you to yaw in one direction. But if you want to yaw the other way, all you can do is slow this down and allow the main rotor to add torque, or the main rotor's torque for the rudder to go the other way. And they basically coded in where they use the main rotor to add torque to give you left yaw. Requires a bit more explanation, but basically they've done some very clever stuff to where this tiny 200 size helicopter flies phenomenally. This will do every 3D heli maneuver I can throw at it.
Is that the OMP 250?
It's brilliant. It's the OMP M2.
Oh, M2.
So M2 is 200 size, 200 mil rotor disc. So
Do you
yeah,
know the
really
bit I was most confused by?
incredible.
In one of your videos, you showed a helicopter crashing into the field and it didn't explode. What's going on there?
It was that guy.
Field.
It was well, actually,
How's that work?
Myself and
Helis have come on.
Myself and Sheldon, Mr. Drone Doctor, we've actually this is our own design. This tail, which we are looking into actually producing, because normally this doesn't.
Should have never let those two worlds meet.
One of the reasons most people don't like helicopters is they're incredibly expensive to crash. For instance, like this big guy is a 500, we've got 6 and a 700. They quite regularly go into hundreds of pounds when you crash them. This thing, the parts are on Amazon. They're super cheap. On average, this thing costs £5 to £10 max if you really smash it. But the first, I say 7 crashes, I had absolutely no damage to this thing at all. So it's a very accessible way. And of course, they've also added in a self-level mode, which we all take for granted as drone pilots, which is just turning on level mode.
I think we should put this
and
to
it
the
will right
test,
itself.
Jay. I
and
think
fly.
I should have a go on Saturday.
I could 100% show you how to fly that on Saturday. More than happy to.
I
It's got a rescue switch.
We're gonna have to have a queue. We're gonna have to have a
as long as we flick that.
This is Tony that can't fly quad line of sight, and you're going to let him loose on the heli.
Well,
No, I know.
I'll be next to him. I'll be next to him.
£10, £5.
Have you got a trainer cable?
Well, to be fair, I've said for years I will help Tony learn to loft properly, and it's from the school of helicopters. This is, if you can fly helis, you can fly anything. They really are the king of RC in that respect. But honestly, they're so safe to fly now. You can fly them at really low RPM which is how when you crash them, they actually do no damage. And with the safety switch in there, even if you get out of shape, you flick it and it just rights itself and climbs a little bit. So yeah,
so when you started mentioning all this clever stuff with the tail, it kicked a light bulb in my brain, and that was this talk of HeliFlight 3D. And some guys a while ago on the OMP250, they were putting F7 flight controllers and running this fork of CleanFlight or Betaflight based off 4.1 that runs for helis, and they've put all sorts of, like you were talking about, fixes in there to compensate for the lack of strength or the lack of ability to instantaneously change direction on the tail rotor, and so they're using the torque of the main rotor to account for that. They've got their own little Discord. It looks quite interesting. There's a whole bunch of people at these OMP helis with F7s stuck on the front.
Yeah, it's been, I dare say, a lot of the developing drone technology has had a very positive effect on the heli side of things. For me, I think some of this technology jump has been as beneficial as simulators were initially to people getting into helicopters. When simulators weren't a thing, you wanted to learn a new maneuver, you go out and you give it a shot, and if you mess it up, you're spending 200.
Yeah, I think they even had a rescue mode in 3D, like it could safely recover if you're flying 3D and you freaked out. There's
that's exactly what that does. It's exactly what that does. There's and all it is essentially is the level mode taken from how a helicopter on an F7 works. Exactly the same thing, but it has a few extra steps in as well. So as well as writing itself, for instance, it has to zero the collective to a neutral collective before it initiates the flip. Otherwise, it would pile itself into the ground if it was initially hovering upside down. And then once it's level, it knows to climb a few feet to get away from the ground. So there's a few extra steps. But
that
again,
makes it a lot easier to get started, I thought, especially if you're the sort of pilot who wants to. That must make it a lot easier to get started, especially if you're the type of pilot that's seen people flying 3D on helis and just wants to jump straight into that without spending several years flying backwards and forwards and replacing broken stuff.
I saw people flying quadcopters 6 years ago, and it looked really easy. But I looked at props and they broke. You got to remember, things broke 6 years ago.
Yeah, this
before
is
polycarbonate.
The other thing
exploded when it touched the blade of grass, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
The other thing I'll mention just quickly, I don't know if anyone else has
Sorry,
done
do
it
they
or
not
knows
still?
about
That's
it.
amazing. Do they not still? Wow, I might get back into the hobby.
Has anyone gone over to or looked at EdgeTX yet? Because I sort of jumped on board with those guys and their Discord and got chatting with them very early, and their Discord's growing nicely now. Does anyone know what it is, or am I talking to blank faces here?
Know what it is? I haven't gone to it yet because it seems to have a distinct advantage if you're using one of the TX16s because they've already implemented the touchscreen stuff. If you've got a non-touchscreen,
well, the hardware's there, but obviously EdgeTX have taken advantage of it and got it happening because they've been waiting around for but the pace at which they're doing it, I mean, every week I update it and there's new it's coming in thick and fast. But interestingly, when I spoke to one of the devs about this, I said, are there any other radios? Because there's actually, if you look in their flashing tool, and the flashing tool does the bootloader, it does everything. You don't even power the radio on. You plug it in, because when you plug it in is immediately in DFU mode, and it just does the whole lot for you. So it's a much more painless system than how you would traditionally flash your OpenTX, doing the bootloader and everything separately. It's really, really simple to use. But they have, and I've tested this because I have my old review unit still up there, the NV14 Nirvana controller. They've done a version of Edge for that. So they're bringing that back to life as well. But it's built on very stable code. I've been using it with the helicopters on my my TX16 on that chap, and it's been absolutely brilliant. The touch interface is definitely where things need to go for a radio that has a touch.
Complaining about the DFU mode, but I found that much easier to use rather than messing around with multi-step upgrades.
It's
Apparently
brilliant.
Some people have trouble with DFU drivers. I don't know. For me, it's just always plugged in and worked. As soon as I set permissions to be able to access
same here. But that's the same subjective problem that you see people going. Everyone has their own personal battle with their computers and DFU mode, regardless of the hardware. I think that's that's just each to their own on that one. But yeah, Edge TX so far, I've had not one single problem with it. Very, very, very good.
So when
If
you
you're
go
on
the
a
Nirvana
TX16,
out again, then
do you know what? The one thing I will say about Nirvana that I really like, I actually love the feel of those gimbals, those full digital gimbals.
did you see
And I've
people?
heard people have putting them into
Yeah.
the TX16.
Yeah.
I read about that. And again, there's one guy on the Edge TX team who is basically the MV14 guy that's
He's
determined
obsessed.
to get
Yeah,
it all working.
he's built in support already, hasn't he?
He has. So you can actually take those gimbals, chuck them in the TX16, and Edge will get it all working.
Yeah.
So yes, I may potentially.
Those
do
are some
butchering
seriously
and try.
fancy gimbals. I was quite surprised to hear
They're
that.
lovely.
But
Yeah.
no one else has used the same gimbals that the Nirvana
The
has.
mistake they made, the big mistake they made. I mean, you could go through a long list of mistakes that were made when it came to the underground FPV. I mean, they bit off way more than they could chew. That was for sure. But the thing, in terms of the big mistake with those gimbals, is they made them see through with like red plastic behind. They just made them look so cheap. They look like toy gimbals,
like
but they really weren't. Yeah, that was the big thing, I think.
I think they've got temperature compensation as well. Like a lot of people complain that the sensitivity of gimbals changes with temperature. I think the FlySky ones in the Nirvana actually include temperature compensation.
That's a completely normal thing for hall sensors. All hall sensors have temperature variation. I mean, even if you look at the TX16 under a microscope, you can see that there is, as the temperature changes, that exact center point is actually always slightly on the move based on what the ambient temperature is. But yeah, as you say, the MV14 gimbals were very advanced for their time. Yeah.
So I've seen people on Edge TX again complaining that there's temperature drift, and they're trying to find ways to fix temperature drift. And they're looking, can we get the temperature out of the IMU? Can we get temperature out of this, that, and the other? The MV14 just does it all in the gimbals, just a complete
it's
solution.
done because those gimbals essentially have their own firmware. They're very, very, very cool tech in there. But yeah, it'd be great if they continue to pursue it. It'd be nice to see, because I know some people that really enjoyed using that.
I almost grabbed one recently. If it hadn't been for the micro USB port, I'd probably have an MV14 this week.
Yeah, I mean, they sent me 3 of them in the end. They've both gone to other homes, but I kept one just to in the hope that something like this might happen, that it still have some use. But I think it was important that someone like Underground FPV did something like that, because otherwise nothing changes. If some people aren't just bold, failing's all part of that progress, and it did.
It seems we're long overdue
but
for a bit of a design revision, because people have been taking that T16 chassis and just slightly tweaking it for many, many variations, and I think they stopped releasing new versions of that kind of the end of last year, really.
And before that, it was the old JRs, and before that, they were based on the Futaba, seriously old.
Can ADC filter be turned
on?
Yes, it can be turned on if you really want it to. It's still there. It's just checkbox under system settings, shady.
Yeah, but yeah, it's nice when you see sort of innovation going on, whether it fails or not. It's an important part of it for sure. But yeah, so 6 years. What have we learned? Anyone?
Well, we've learned that last 10 minutes were very anal, and a few people liked it.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing so many of everybody in the chat and here on the call on Saturday, actually in person, and actually going to go out and have a fly. I'm looking forward to that.
Time and
and a drive.
Can we tell people?
Awesome.
FPV car.
Well, in terms of parking, we're going to be pretty blocked out. So if you haven't already got on the list, you maybe send us a message, and I can see what I can do. Maybe get you a lift from alternative parking, some overflow parking, maybe. But yeah, get in touch. But the people who have all got their stuff sorted, looking forward to seeing you on Saturday for LDO No, celebrating 6 years of LDO.
Of us talking complete and utter bollocks.
That's awesome.
Exactly.
I can't believe you've done 6 years, you nutters, and you're all still talking to each other.
just about.
Only just, Dom.
Awesome.
Yep, we've at least recorded something every week for that 6 years. It might not still be available. It might have been completely and utterly removed from the internet, but it was at least recorded.
It's probably out there somewhere.
Maybe.
Shady's asking about TBS Mambo. I think the PR for that just came into OpenTX. So it hasn't made its way into HTX yet, which is kind of taking stuff out of OpenTX periodically. But yeah, that Mambo should be supported soon enough. Awesome. And then there's some, I think there's some nutters in Express LRS who are obsessed with trying to figure out how the whole thing works and just reflashing it from Tracer to Express LRS. But that's more of a on the down low project, I think, because they're struggling a little bit to get the flashing tools working.
Indeed.
Yeah, the flashing thing's great. Yeah, people seem to want to put it on everything. So it's like, can we put it on Crossfire? Can we put it on Tracer?
Oh, well,
I'm going to have to. I didn't want to interrupt anyone.
Cheers.
You're all wonderful, and I will see you again in 6 months or a year's time, if not. Tune into the chat room. Hello, chat room people, and yeah, happy 6th birthday. See you later.
Bye.
See you now.
Bye.
Yeah, the instant that drops on Crossfire, there's going to be
give my
quite
love
a
to the
big surge
Thursday
in
night
interest.
show.
Yeah, for most people, it's at least a way of using their R9 module again, because FreeSky seems to have, well, just dropped into the off the end of the flat Earth, haven't they? Let's face it.
Yeah.
Right, what we might do, I don't know whether you guys are up for it, but we might hang out in the Let's Drone Out Patreon. No, Let's Drone Out Discord.
I'll get a refill
to celebrate our 6 years. And yeah, like I just want to say thank you guys for sticking with us, and hopefully LDO has become interesting and somewhat informative, as well as silly, instead of just
definitely silly.
That's wonderful, guys. Thanks for all the time you've put into this already, and privileged to be here with you.
Oh, bless you, man. It's an honor to have you and a pleasure, and we learned so much. And it's great to have NJ back. It's nice to have something really nice to look at.
Mainly because you won't stop emailing me.
I know. Like
flowers
Sunday night, wanking.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, the pile of like boxes of chocolates outside your front door when you got back from your honeymoon. Had to explain that away.
Oh, come on.
This is the closest I've got to a honeymoon. I've got coconut oil bog roll.
That's disturbing.
Only the best, darling. You know,
I presume the reference is the coconuts to the Caribbean, right? Is that where you were going? Okay,
that's
right,
where I was going with that.
Taffy Jones's
it's
honeymoon.
Just the fact that Tony's going to go around saying, "Look, sniff my ass. Go on, you'll get a surprise."
And on that note,
yeah, I've almost forgotten where I was for a second.
Yeah. Right. Everyone, you've been listening to Let's Drone Out for 6 years. Thank you so much. Thank you, all our Patreons. Everyone who shows up every week in the chat. I love you guys. Thank you. You have once again been joined by everyone's favourite curry kitten.
Goodbye.
Everyone's favourite wife of mine with a coconut smelling behind.
Bonjour.
I've been Brian Till I Fly. You've been joined by our Lord and Master, and the whole reason the show is so organised. Well,
don't blame me.
Okay.
It might have been a compliment, Andrew. Roll with it.
Yeah.
Just say thank
Bye.
you. And our newest, most informative member, Stephen.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
And the eye candy, he's too sexy for his shirt. The leader of the Tomcats, Thundercats, or whatever, I don't know. Squadron leader, 5 Yankee Doodle, 68 Grief Lord. What is it? Oh God, Butt Pirate, Wrangler, NJ Tech.
Take care, everyone. See you again.
He wishes he
remember.
was still on his
Good night.
honeymoon.
I know, I bet. Cock
Bye.
crumbles.